The Rebbe Rayatz writes in his childhood diary that the first time he heard his father, the Rebbe Rashab, Lane, he became a Baal Teshuvah. Why? Well, it was Parshat Lech Lecha, and when his father got to the words Vayam Hashem el Avraham, and Hashem spoke to Avraham, he began to cry tears of pure joy. Picture a small boy behind the bimah watching his father choke up over a single phrase like that. Now, there is something absolutely amazing and romantic in Hashem, in the fact that he, out the blue, came and spoke to Avraham, the creator of the world, finding interest in a human. It shocked the Rebbe to his core. Why would he be possibly interested in a human being? There is something about Hashem's choice of the Jewish people that is beyond our merits, a him thing rather than an us thing, that is so profound that it can make a Rebbe cry. It should also move us to tears, so why doesn't it? Well, the issue is that there are two types of love, and we always only focus in our religious life on the one and not the other. Pesach is a time to focus on the other, because indeed Hashem did exactly the same thing on Pesach with us as a whole as he did with Avraham in Lech Lecha. He approached us and chose us. He did this when we were on the lowest level with zero merits at all, purely to show us that this choice is coming from him and not our merits. Va'avadim hayinu v'yotzi anu Hashem misham. This type of love is called ahava rabbah in the sources. The other type of love is a love based on our merits. This type of love is called an ahava zutta, sometimes called ahavat olam, worldly love. And both of these loves apply to all relationships. We love our friends, our family, and our spouse because of the things about them, their personality, their character, their sense of humor. And we also assume that Hashem loves us because of our merits, our deeds, our character. However, we're also told, Im sadakta matiteno. If you are tzaddik, what do you give him? So ultimately, we understand that Hashem doesn't base his love on our merits. And this reflects the fact that the other love, called ahava zutta, which means lesser, is indeed a lesser love. This type of love, as I said, shows up in our human relationships too. If we were to marry for things, this is frowned upon. If I'd have said to my wife, I love the fact that your family has money, so I want to marry you, she would obviously be deeply offended at that. Why? It's obvious, but let's spell it out just to drive the point home. It's like I'm effectively saying, I love money, you have money, can you give me the money? No? You won't give it to me unless I marry you? Fine, I'll marry you for the money. I'm not marrying her, just the things about her, her money, etc. Now, Torah, specifically Chassidut, tells us something profound. It's not just money. Any love based on a thing is a problem. Anything about my wife, anything about her, is not a reason to marry her, and is just as lesser, and therefore just as offensive. It may not hurt quite as sharply, but if a husband thinks that a husband married her for her personality, or her grace, or even her neshama, she will still feel upset, unheard, unknown, and alone. The famous question every wife asks her husband at some point, why did you marry me? Has no good answer, and women are known for getting together to rant about how men just don't get it. Indeed, we don't. A man says to the marriage counselor, I love everything about my wife. And the counselor says, then why does she want to divorce you? The man says, I have no idea. The counselor asked, do you love her? Didn't you hear me? I said I love everything about her. The counselor finally gets it. You love all the things about her, but do you love her? And the husband says, I have no idea what you're talking about. So the counselor says, then I'd want to divorce you too. We are more than just the things about us, and we all know it deep down. There is something essential about us, our very essence, our very self, beyond all words, beyond all things. And we deeply want to connect on that level. This is very deep though, and we don't know how to express it. In fact, it's not actually technically possible to express. We don't know how to put it into words, and hence all the drama of life. We do this to Hashem too. We serve him for the rewards. We want his Gan Eden, his Olam Haba. Derech Mitzvotecha, Shorsh Mitzvat Tefillah, chapters 37 to 39, goes through all of this. The Tzemach Tzedek explores all the amazing lofty levels of heaven and godliness, taking us all the way up through the worlds, through Atzilut, Atik, Adam Kadmon, up to Hashem's Or Ein Sof, his name, which is described as truly Imcha, with him. And yet he tells us that even loving Hashem's infinite light is still just Ahava Zita. Listen, on the one hand, it should deeply impress us that Hashem is infinite and transcendent, beyond all comparison, in his very essence of being. This is the special emunah that a Jew has over the nations, which they don't have. They think of him as the God of gods, not as transcendent and beyond all comparison. On the other hand, it should deeply disappoint us that we cannot grasp him on that level. We should deeply want to know him there, his very self, and not settle for anything else. Our soul is really rooted there in his essence. And thus the Chachamim tell us that we have a longing to connect to him, essence to essence. And indeed the Tzemach Tzedek makes that point. All of these lofty worlds are nothing but his word, not him. And we are rooted in him, and we are homesick. We want him, not the things about him, even the most sublime godly things, including his Or Ein Sof. The Alter Rebbe famously sang, I want nothing at all. I don't want your Gan Eden. I don't want your Olam Haba. I want nothing. I want you alone. This is Ahava Rabbah, Ahava Atzmit, essential love. And the lesson of Pesach that moved the Rebbe Rashab to tears is that Hashem loves us like this. He loved us like this before we were created. As the Zohar states, we are his very first thought. Do you remember your first thought? I'm sure, like all of us, it was about your worldly desires. His was about you. As personal and deep as it gets. This type of love, due to our Jewish soul, is available to us, and it's the highest fulfillment of the purpose of creation. It's the holiness that the Jewish soul brings into the world, into our homes, into our Shabbat, into our relationships, with our fellow Jews, our loved ones, and indeed towards Hashem himself. Pesach is about Ahava Rabbah, and our avodah on Pesach is to get the chametz out of our soul so that we can indeed connect to him and each other on this level. Once we do, we then reintroduce the chametz, the Ahava Zita, because once I love you, then I better also love all the things about you too, because they are yours, not because I like things. This is now the continued avodah of Sfirat HaOmer, to look deep into our heart and our 49 gates, audit our 49 emotions, and cleanse them of selfishness and self-service, and use them only in the service of our loved ones, for them, because we want nothing, we want him alone. And realize he wants us alone, and therefore he wants all the things about us too as a result. Our avodah, our mitzvot, our tefillot, our hearts. Let's take this as our inspiration to improve our observance of halacha, our hasmada in Torah, and indeed our motivation to serve him truly lishma. And even as we still struggle with worldly matters, we will have more of a detachment from them for their own sake, and instead connect them to him as an ahava b'ta'anugim, for him to taste his goodness. Chag Sameach and Shabbat Shalom.